What is up, everyone? As always, I'm your friend, the neighborhood Wraith. We're back with some more Spooktober. Uh, so we are back with dissolving. Um, so we're back with Hunter now. I know it'd be different, not exactly weird, but different. Outside of common understanding, outside of the norm. So this is the other part of the story. I'm guessing. I don't know why. This yearning led me through my life. If what's happening to me now can even be called life. Because of my interest, I became an anthropologist. Because of it, I found my wife. And it stayed with me even after things fell apart. Everything was fine at first. I studied culture, psychology, and certain people from medieval times. Subjects I chose were so specific that very few people had investigated them. Yet, they were peculiar enough to gain attention. I was rather good at presenting myself in my research, so funding wasn't a problem. I gave lectures at a university and some popular science events, and worked part-time at a private school. I found myself having a lot of contacts in university circles and among young intellectuals. I married an avid artist specializing in book illustrations who was into goth metal, avant-garde, and not committed to anything or anyone. When she was in the mood, she even joined my ventures into the depths of beliefs of people long gone. I even started thinking of a career in writing, but it can't be that good, right? I wasn't even going anywhere in particular. Just a car accident when I was driving home from back when I was driving back from a grocery store. The road was too slippery, I guess. Luckily, my wife was at home and nobody got hurt, except for me. My body was paralyzed almost entirely. I could move only my left hand and my head. It was a nightmare. I couldn't live the way that I used to. The simple act of going from one place to another became more difficult. What's worse, my wife refused to let me go and was taking care of me. I found it cute considering her usual traits, but I was frustrated to see her wasting her life because of me. I stopped visiting friends and parties and almost stopped giving lectures. Even doing my research became difficult. I was thinking about ending it all, but my family was rather religious, so I couldn't. I just couldn't. Maybe it's a mere excuse for my cowardice. Either way, I needed something to occupy my time and to distract me. My wife hid all the alcohol, never mind the drugs. I tried reading books and watching movies, but it wasn't enough. The thoughts were still here, haunting me, always there, whispering in my ear. I pressed on, though. What else could I do? Whoa. Okay. What else could I do? Then one day, after dozens of bleak flicks with cut and paste stories, I finally watched a movie that I really liked. I can't remember its name now, but back then I was in awe. I went to OMDB to find some info on it and found out the movie was universally hated. I checked the reviews to see what people disliked, started looking through them. False expectations, misunderstandings, ignorance, presenting subjective opinions as objective truths. Nothing new. I'm sorry, the music in this just slaps. Nothing new. But one review really got to me. This person just wasn't just ignorant. They were aggressively ignorant, spiteful. I was so outraged that I went ahead and wrote a comment in on an expressive manner explaining why they're wrong. I was only the type with one hand, but it actually helped. I had more time to think about what I was writing. They replied quickly. You know what? We're gonna turn that down just a little bit. Boo doo doo. Obviously didn't want to agree. I spent the next several hours arguing online, and it was great. There was nothing in my world aside from me, my argument, and my opponents. One or two people who also commented on the review and apparently were subscribed to the comments joined in. I was finally passionate about something and no longer wanted to die. Of course, it meant that I was arguing with strangers online, an act that I would have deemed pathetic not too long ago. But I didn't have much choice anymore. The next day, I created several throwaway accounts. Set up a VPN and dived into this relentless world. It was fun. Since the people who participate in such things are quite peculiar, sometimes I got almost scientifically interested in their reasoning and possibly diagnosing their mental illness. There were people like me too. Restless, almost always online. I met some of them in different places around the net. Eventually, I formed some vague semblance of a friendship with some of them. Then one day, way after midnight, one of them made me an offer. Would you be interested in leaving your immortal body and transcending onto the net? It sounded like some cult nonsense, but sure, I'll bite. My pride was long gone and I was curious. I wanted to know more. It definitely felt like cultist ramblings. Some mighty interdimensional beings exist in our world, but only in digital form. It's like they're projections of themselves into our world from theirs, or shadows, or distorted copies. They feed on human emotions. These beings want to consume the strong feelings poured onto the net. So the cultists, people who are digitized by these creatures, help them find newcomers. People who pour a lot of emotions into the internet. In exchange for producing food for them 24/7, they gain immortality, the power to control many things on the net. However, the elusive home world of these beings is still out of reach, even for their followers. Not even a glimpse for humans. It sounded like nonsense, for some reason I was ready to believe it. The story reminded me of an incident that occurred when I worked at a private school. I was going back from work. A girl who worked there as a teacher was sitting there on the stairs, seemingly distressed. She was mumbling something about digital people trying to ruin her, and so on. When I asked what happened, she said she was fired because of her ex joining some sort of cult. I thought she was high or something. She looked like someone who would do that at work. Purple hair, torn jeans, you know. So I said something encouraging and walked away. She didn't care. But when I heard about the cult, things started to make sense. At least I understood how far it reached. When I asked, so what do I need to do? The answer was quite peculiar. You need to get rid of your mortal body. We can send you a SIM card to speed up the process. It receives data from the stations controlled by us, and this type of data makes the transition faster. Your mortal body will partly dissolve during the process. When the ascension is complete, your atrophied corpse will remain in this world. I was hesitant to believe that, but curious indeed. Remembering that story with my colleague sure made it seem more intriguing. I was willing to check it out. Okay, I'm in. Can you deliver the SIM to my house discreetly? I'll arrange something. Just give me your address and date. I provided my address and sent the delivery for a week later. I'm still ashamed I shared such information so easily. I'm consenting to anything that could happen, but I forgot that my wife lives here too. They could just barge in and bad things can happen. I panicked at first, trying to edit or delete the message, but I forgot that things don't disappear from the net so easily. There's no edit button, and deleting the message will erase it from my history, but not theirs. It was the first time I truly panicked since the accident. Strangely enough, my limited ability to move or act hastily helped me to calm down rather easily. I thought my limitations would fuel the panic, but no. Maybe I was getting used to it. I persuaded a friend of mine in another country to call my wife away to some kind of important art event for a few weeks. He was a pretty big deal in the art world. It was difficult, but I managed to persuade her to leave me here. I do agree to have a caretaker, though. She insisted that the caretaker should be a man, too. I like to think she was still jealous, which is cute considering my circumstances. The caretaker was rather nice. He looked like he could fight a possible home invasion, or at least I hoped he could. So my wife packed her things and left. Nothing peculiar happened until the package arrived at the promised time. I told the caretaker that I had ordered some stuff from my phone. He didn't ask questions. When he left the room, I unpacked it. Believe in the net. Strangely enough, it was packed in a way that would be easy for me to open. I didn't tell them anything about my condition. In a small box was an envelope. The sign on it read, Believe in the net. Cute. I installed the SIM card on my phone. They promised the ascension will pass without any struggle for you. I don't know what they meant or what I expected, but it was strange. Network now said eFoodNet, but at first nothing changed. Even when my body started to dissolve, I felt nothing, both physically and mentally. I mean, of course I freaked out at first, seeing lines of my body blurring, but I soon found myself worrying more about how I'd hide it from the caretaker. Should I hide in my room, faking a depressive episode? Should I give him sleeping pills? Ask those guys to lure him away, faking an incident with summoning in his family? I set her to task those cultists with luring him away, and I calmed down completely. Yeah. The fact I was so indifferent actually bothered me. It was the out of the ordinary experience I always dreamt of, and yet, until this day, I wondered, maybe I died in that car crash? Maybe everything after that was just a fever dream? Or an endless vision of the afterlife? Maybe to whom I tell these stories and don't even exist? I guess I'll never know. They got the caretaker to leave due to some family circumstances. Honestly, I don't want to know what they arranged. In 2 days, my body changed drastically. My vision became blurry. Like a dark fog appearing before my eyes, it got thicker and thicker, and eventually it covered my eyes entirely. The last thing I saw was the computer screen through the fog. What a beautiful farewell to the mortal world. The new world was not what I was expecting. I retained my consciousness, memories, personality, seemingly without any changes. But I was data now, and I could only perceive other data and traverse from server to server. I had the ability to control anything on the internet. At first, I was in awe. Everything they told me was true. I'd climbed my weak, almost non-functional human body and became something more powerful. Ascended to the new realm where powerful beings dwell among the undying flow of information. I could receive data faster than any human. Finally free, able to travel as fast as electricity. In a whole new world full of strange, unusual things for me to investigate. With beings akin to gods lurking somewhere in the endless ocean of data. Sometimes I've felt them passing by on the same servers as me. A strong, weary presence. To this day, I don't know how I could feel a presence in the digital world. I was just a bunch of numbers, and yet I could. Maybe it's because of my soul. Maybe a soul can be digitized too. Maybe it's the immortality of the soul we were promised by ancient prophets. But the data can be deleted. Does that mean that both souls and gods can be destroyed then? Actually, feeling the presence wasn't the only proof of my soul being here that I got on my first day of new life. Oh, dude. Soon after a bit of getting used to the world, I started stalking my wife. Oh, God. All those powers, all those mysteries, I was just following her life. Reading all of her messages and posts, watching all the cameras that spotted her. On her laptop, on her phone, on the street, in cafes, and dressing rooms, and bathrooms. Yeah, those places have more cameras than you'd think. The thing is, I learned. I didn't like them. She tried to sue that poor guy, the caretaker, but to no avail. My body was obviously exhausted. I'd been really skinny for the past month because of medication and stress. Police didn't find anything suspicious about my death. Just some person who should have died a long time ago, and they finally left this world. I even read such messages in her history. I certainly couldn't argue with that. I watched her go through all the stages. Watched her ditch work and social relations, trying to commit suicide, then spending most of her remaining money on therapists and medication. Damn, dude. Trying to get back to work, but mostly failing. I wanted to stay away, to not get involved. It wasn't my world anymore. But at some point, the growing howling mass inside my soul became so big that I had to act. I added several sizable sums to her account, massed some compensations for some troublesome projects I remembered, and sent the word sorry from a newly created throwaway account. After that, I decided to leave all of it behind and to try to live a new, immortal life. I started my search for the gods. I wanted to understand at least some small part of them, to know why they evoke such deep feelings in me, such awe and fear at the same time. Why are they so powerful? Why do they share their power with me? Is it only to give them food? Or is it something more? I started by asking around. Most people here were busy with the same stuff they did online while they were still alive, consuming media, arguing about it, spying on the lives of others, arguing, stuff like that for the most part. But then I saw something that I couldn't understand at first. I saw one person's data dissolving, being erased, along with many others on the server. Most of them in the same part of the server as the dissolving data. I found a person idling in another part of the server and asked them, "What's happening?" They're devouring them. It's happening more and more frequently now. What does that mean? They collectively devour data of people that did something against the cult, like merging their data together? Usually they send the remains to the remote server and format it afterwards. A rather long procedure, to be honest, probably takes so long because it's not a power they could extract from the source, unlike controlling the net. You're new here, huh? Everything we have is because of some guy who managed to find those beings on the internet, copy their code, and partly reverse engineer it. He digitized himself with this new power and started inviting other people to join him. Wait a minute, so you're saying those interdimensional beings have no part in the ascension? Pretty much, they just exist here and wander these lands. Why was I told about giving them food? Oh, the guy found out that they grow on servers where people argue emotionally. They like that and tend to gravitate to such places. I don't know, though, how we went from that to this cult thing we have now. They don't ask for anything, they just don't communicate with us at all, or interact in any other way. Oh, that's disappointing. How do you know so much anyway? I've been here for a long time, possibly over 20 years. Some parts of my memory are corrupted or formatted. Then you could be the source guy. I could, yes, but I'm more interested in other facts about me. What could be more interesting than discovering you created this new society? Looks like parts of my memories were deleted by me. That's possible? Yes, you can alter your own code. It's easy. Never thought of that. You're considering deleting your memories? Yeah. Then could you answer me one question? Sure. What makes you want to delete your memories? I was short-sighted. My egotism led to the suffering of a person dear to me. I could have stopped, but I went all the way. I want to forget what I've done and all the happy memories I made with her. The happiness of the past has become nothing but pain. I see. Guilt. Quite understandable. Thanks. We remained there, watching the data being consumed for a while longer. After some time, the person asked, "So will you do it?" "Do what?" "Delete your memory." "Probably not." "Why?" "Remembering is punishment for me." "I see." "Don't be so hard on yourself." I didn't answer. "Thanks for speaking with me. It was rather enlightening." "No problem. You helped me too." "Glad to know. Maybe we'll meet again." "See you." I finally left the server. It was a it was an important moment for me. I clung to the idea of understanding those creatures. I believed in everything those guys said to me since I became the digital being and saw gods. I should stick to my own research. As it was during my career, but things didn't work out. I managed to copy and paste parts of their code. I got that far. However, I couldn't do anything with it. I didn't know how to approach it or where to start. It was gibberish to me. I tried inserting their code into my own, to no avail. Nothing. It changed who I am. I'm now useless at investigating anything, even though that earned me some fame in the human world. That feeling of desperation would eventually lead me to my self-destruction. One day, I followed one of the gods. At some point, I realized the server was empty. It was only that being in myself. An idea suddenly crossed my mind. I probably would have been grinning if I had still had a mouth. I set a timer to disconnect the server from the internet, format it, then reconnect it. I left the server just before the timer went off, with the being still there. When I came back, the server was empty. I left just before the timer and can still sense the gods somewhere in the central part of the server. They couldn't leave as far as I knew, which could only mean one thing. I killed a god. I guess that shows what kind of person I am. But I wasn't overwhelmed with power or anything. There was only disappointment. After that, I started to wander the net, picking up on stories that unfolded around me. There were a lot of them. The cultists spent most of their time trolling random people and recruiting new members. In most cases, they forgot their previous targets and moved on, just like the person that invited me. They forgot about me the moment I joined them and started to close in on the next person they wanted to recruit. But one day I noticed the cultist that hadn't changed his prime target for a long time. He was seemingly torturing and stalking a girl that once had dated one of the cultists. I started to see what was going on. It was rather easy. Things rarely disappeared from the internet, if ever. It was the girl I had met at my work. The one with purple hair. Fun fact, her ex refused to get the sim because he wanted to experience the ascension for as long as he could. He forgot about her quickly and hadn't even followed the story of her being hunted. Since I spoke with her near the school, things had been quite rough for her. She tried abandoning the internet, but that didn't work. She tried withdrawing cash from ATMs. Sometimes, just to mess with her, he actually let that happen. She tried not leaving her apartment, but it wasn't much help. He would summon cops, deliveries, anything like that. After some time, though, she managed to save up a rather large sum of money. She already some of her own savings and cash even before this whole mess began. She started practicing walking in places where street cameras wouldn't see her. Not only street cameras, but possibly drones or satellite cameras. Anywhere there was some kind of roof or canopy. When she decided everything was ready, she started her plan. The girl went to a nearby internet cafe. They surprisingly still exist today, though mostly full of schoolboys playing games on the local internet. She found a cabin in the woods up for rent in a rather remote location, arranged a meeting that rent. Using a fake name, obviously. Buying a used car was easy too. Getting a gun was a bit harder, but she had connections. The seller didn't care about documents or anything, he just needed the money. In 2 days, she had gotten a cabin, a car, and a gun. She turned on her phone, left it playing music, and gathered her belongings in a sports bag. In 4 hours, she arrived at her new home. It worked for a while. You probably guessed that since I know all this in such detail, her plan got found out. The guy did some extensive digging, and once he knew what to look for, he traced her easily. One morning, she woke up to a loud noise. When she opened her eyes, the noise repeated, now closer. She shut up and grabbed her gun. She always kept it near her. It wouldn't help against what was coming, but it would still come in handy. A drone crashed through her window. It was rattling around the floor, trying to fly up. She rushed to one of the inner rooms without the windows, began stuffing some cash into her pocket of her shirt, but soon she heard another sound, a roaring engine. She rushed outside, dressed in her pajamas, just in time as a bulldozer demolished the entire building. He had put this house on a list of buildings to be demolished. She ran through the forest, followed by the sound of drones buzzing, toward the road where she could catch a ride back to society. Not exactly the best outfit for it, but what choice did she have? I suppose she didn't have time to think about any other dangers, but I did. There were only 2 people on the server, but he was too absorbed in this game to notice anything. I learned he was sending some drivers with her, with histories, let's say. That's when I decided I'd had enough of observing. I persuaded the other 2 cultists to leave the server under false pretenses. Then I set a timer. She was covered in bruises. Her legs were tired. The buzzing drew closer and closer. The road was still far away. She tripped on an old tree and fell. Her whole life must have flashed before her eyes. I don't know for sure. I can't read minds. She laid there for a few seconds before turning onto her back. She drew her gun and aimed with shaking hands at the nearing drones. The girl started firing. Recoil hit harder than she expected, but one drone was down. There were several dozen left. She fired the remaining bullets, but missed almost all of them. Luck wasn't on her side anymore, was it? She tried getting up and running, but had no energy left. She sat there watching those things get closer to her, with eyes wide open. But then, they stopped. One of them was several inches away from her. She waited. They didn't move. She sat there for about a minute. One of them fell down with its lights out. Battery must have died. She got up. She stood for a moment watching the buzzing swarm of drones. Some of them had needles and short knives attached. Fuck, dude. Fuck it. I'm going back. She flipped off the drones and walked away, in the direction of the cabin's remains. Well, hell yeah.
I knew you would wait.
What?
I guess I'm happy that you stayed for so long.
What?
Don't know for sure, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the one who told you these stories.
Ah, all right. So you're the good one?
Both of them. I just couldn't bring myself to communicate online. Or even follow what's going on. So I decided to get creative.
Oh.
Make games, write stories, and upload them to random sites. It's the same as arguing online, after all.
Are you basically saying that I'm feeding the gods right now?
Just a bunch of emotions spilled into the nothingness.
Ah.
In the hopes that someone will understand and find the record of your thoughts and emotions on the garbage pile. Where nothing ever disappears.
No?
There's no death on the internet.
True.
That's where I made a mistake.
Oh, why? Because you didn't actually kill the god?
I was still thinking in terms of a human world, not a digital one. So the guy whom I thought I killed returned.
Oh.
I couldn't kill even him. Yet, I thought I was mighty enough to kill a god. Everyone leaves a digital trace. Caches, messages, forum posts, histories of
What the
visits, so on and
fuck,
so forth.
dude?
After a while, they start to gravitate towards each other.
Oh.
Like molecules. Producing a distorted copy of the individual. Is this what they meant by all this immortal soul stuff? Anyways, he regained parts of his memories, told the cultist what happened, and
Oh.
they weren't happy.
Oh, did the cultists hunt you down?
Can you really replicate a person by their data? Honestly, though, I don't even know who I was. The only thing that kinda comforts me is the thought that maybe, since now I'm the enemy for them, she'll be able to live a functional life once again.
Is this the boyfriend?
Just like my wife,
Oh, no.
exactly.
No. Okay. So then it wasn't actually the boyfriend. I thought he was, since he was saying that he was like creating stories, I thought that was just another story. But
There's
okay.
one other thing, but it's rather silly.
Oh?
Maybe when I become a distorted copy of myself, I'll find forgotten, useless shards of who I was.
You think so?
And understand something that I couldn't understand about myself before. Just like you.
Oh, that's cute. Oh, coffin, clock, streetlight, attic. Coffin, clock, streetlight, attic. What? Wait. First episode. Oh. Oh. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I guess that's the end of that episode right there. I guess we have one more episode to figure. I don't know. Anyway, guys. As always, I'm your friend, the neighborhood Wraith, and I'll see you guys the next episode. I love you guys. Ba 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 ga.